Your card declines over 11:48. Not because you have nothing, because the transfer you made this morning has not cleared yet. The cashier waits. The person behind you waits. You try the card again because everyone tries the card again. You open your banking app too quickly, as if speed can make pending money become real money. You know the money is coming. You know the bill will clear. You know this is not a moral failure. But the line does not know that. The machine does not know that. The person behind you only sees the delay. And in that moment, being broke is not just expensive, it is public. This is the part of money that almost never appears on a price tag. The receipt says 1140, but the real cost may include the bus you miss while fixing it, the phone call you have to make, the fee that lands somewhere else, the cheaper food you buy instead, and the private embarrassment of being seen at the exact moment your life has no cushion. The price tag was never the full price. It was only the part a person with margin could afford to notice. That extra cost has a name: the friction price. It is the hidden surcharge that appears when you do not have room to wait, room to compare, room to buy the durable version, room to make a mistake, or room to let a small problem stay small. Now split that 1140 moment into two lives. In the first life, you have a small cushion. Not wealth, not luxury, just enough money sitting quietly in the background to keep the day from turning against you. The card clears. You pick up the bag. Maybe you are annoyed because prices went up again, but the moment stays private. Nobody behind you learns anything about your bank account. In the second life, the money is still yours, but it is one day late. The transfer is pending. The app has not updated. The cashier is polite in the way people are polite when they are trying not to look impatient. The person behind you shifts their weight. You step aside, not because the item changed price, but because time has suddenly become part of the price. Same store, same product, same $11.40, different life. This is why being broke is so hard to explain from the outside. People see the price tag, but they do not see the chain attached to it. They see a declined card, a late payment, a smaller package, a cheaper repair, a missed bus. They rarely see the one thing connecting all of it: no margin. People often describe poverty as a lack of money. That is true, but inside an ordinary week, being broke can feel even more like a lack of space. No space between payday and rent. No space between a car repair and a missed shift. No space between an unexpected bill and a worse decision. When there is no buffer, ordinary objects begin to feel more aggressive. A phone is not just a phone, it is a possible failure. A car is not just transportation, it is a deadline. An electric bill is not just a bill, it is a countdown. The first fork is timing. With a cushion, bad timing is irritating. A bill hits one day early and the money is there. A subscription renews and you cancel it later. A tire loses air and you fix it before the job is at risk. The day bends, but it does not break. Without a cushion, bad timing becomes a machine. A payment lands before the transfer clears. The account goes negative. Another bill fails. A fee appears. Then the fee changes the next decision. You buy less gas. You delay groceries. You skip the better repair. You pay the minimum because the full amount is impossible this week. None of these choices are mysterious. They are not proof that someone cannot think long-term. They are what long-term looks like when the short-term is already on fire. Money can exist in your life and still not be available at the right second. A paycheck arrives Friday, but rent pulled Thursday. A refund is coming, but the utility bill is due now. A transfer clears tomorrow, but the card declines today. One day late can be the difference between an errand and a story people tell about you. That is the friction price. Then the same split appears in waiting. With a cushion, waiting is annoying. You might call customer service, get irritated, and move on. If the hold time is too long, you can hang up and deal with it later. The problem stays contained because other parts of your life are not depending on that exact hour. Without a cushion, waiting becomes expensive. An hour on hold is not just an hour. It is a lunch break lost, a bus missed, a child pickup squeezed, a shift starting soon, a tone you have to control so you do not sound angry, and an explanation you repeat to a person who may not have the power to change anything. The strange part is that people with the least money are often asked to spend the most time proving they deserve relief. Fill out the form. Call back tomorrow. Bring another document. Wait for the deposit to return. Wait for the hold to release. Wait for the system to update. Waiting becomes a second currency, and the person with the least money is often charged the highest price in time. Transportation creates another split. With a cushion, a car problem is a problem. You repair it early, rent a replacement, take the direct route for a few days, or pay for the appointment that fits your schedule. It is inconvenient, but it does not automatically threaten your income. Without a cushion, a car problem can become a job problem. Before turning the key, you are already calculating. Can the repair wait one more week? Can the bus route still get you there? Will the shift manager care that the train was late? Can you afford the ride if the bus does not come? The cheaper option often costs less on the receipt and more in the day. It costs sleep because the commute gets longer. It costs opportunity because some jobs become too far away. It costs reputation because being late looks like character, even when it is logistics. One missed bus is not just transportation. It can become the reason a careful person looks unreliable. That is one of the cruel tricks of money. When you have enough of it, people often interpret your life generously. If you are late once, something must have happened. If your car breaks down, you handle it. If your schedule is complicated, you are busy. When you have less money, the same friction can get read as a personal flaw. Late becomes unreliable. Tired gets mistaken for lack of effort. Careful becomes difficult. Asking for time becomes making excuses. The number changes the story people tell about you. That is why being broke is not only a financial condition, it can become a reputation risk. The same pattern follows you into durability. There is a version of money advice that says, just buy the cheapest one. Sometimes that is sensible. Sometimes cheap is exactly what you need. But when you are broke, you are often not choosing between cheap and expensive. You are choosing between what you can afford today and what would actually cost less over time. With a cushion, you can often buy the version that fails less, not the luxury version, not the status version. Just the one that does not need to be replaced immediately. Shoes that survive the season, tires that survive the winter, a phone that still holds a charge, a refrigerator that does not turn Tuesday into an emergency. Without a cushion, the entrance fee matters more than the lifetime cost. The cheap shoes get you through the week, but they wear out faster. The cheap phone works until the battery dies when your boss texts, your child calls, or the bus app stops loading. The discount appliance saves money until it breaks at the worst possible hour. This is not a lecture about buying premium products. Plenty of expensive things are traps too. The point is simpler. Having no buffer can force you to buy the version with the lowest entrance fee, even when it has the highest failure risk. Wealth often buys durability before it buys luxury. And durability is easy to miss because it does not look like wealth. It looks like fewer emergencies. It looks like the day continuing. It looks like a problem staying small. Then comes the upfront cost. With a cushion, a deposit is irritating. A utility deposit, a security deposit, a higher first payment, a temporary hold on your card. You notice it, complain about it, and eventually the money comes back or gets absorbed. Without a cushion, a deposit is a wall. The same apartment, the same electricity, the same phone service, the same basic life can require more money at the beginning from the person least able to produce it. A landlord asking for more money before move-in does not automatically mean you are a bad tenant. A utility company asking for a deposit does not mean you are a bad person. Often, it means a screening process has turned financial fragility into an upfront charge. This is one of the quietest ways the world becomes more expensive. You pay extra not only because you have less, but because the market charges uncertainty to the person least able to absorb uncertainty. The first fee is money. The second fee is shame. That sentence sounds abstract until it is Wednesday night and you are sitting at a kitchen table deciding which bill gets to be on time. Not which bill matters, they all matter, which bill gets to be on time. That is a different life from the one shown in most financial advice. Financial advice often imagines a person standing calmly in front of several options. Compare, choose, optimize, delay gratification. Scarcity does not feel like standing in front of options. It feels like standing in front of timers. Rent timer, gas timer, food timer, phone timer, childcare timer, late fee timer. When everything is a timer, the smartest long-term decision may be impossible to reach in time. The deal itself creates another split. From the outside, people love pointing out better deals. Buy the larger package. Pay annually, repair it properly. Replace it before it fails. Buy two and save. choose the lower unit price. They are often right about the math, but the math usually assumes you can afford the bigger receipt today. With a cushion, the better deal is available. You can buy the large detergent because the cash is there and nothing else will need that money before Friday. You can pay the annual plan because your rent is not waiting at the edge of the same account. You can repair the thing properly because the repair does not steal food money. Without a cushion, the better deal can be locked behind a door you cannot open. The smaller package costs more per ounce, but it fits the cash in your hand. The weekly payment costs more over time, but it keeps the service alive. The partial repair is worse, but it gets you to work tomorrow. The person with money is offered discounts for having money. The person without money is offered flexibility, but the flexibility is usually expensive. Pay weekly. Pay daily. Pay as you go. Pay later. Pay in installments. Pay extra because you cannot pay all at once. This is how the same life becomes more expensive without changing shape. You are not buying a yacht. You are buying detergent. You are not making a wild financial decision. You are trying to get to work. You are not refusing discipline. You are choosing which problem becomes loud today and which problem can stay quiet until Friday. Finally, the split reaches attention. Researchers who study scarcity often describe it as a bandwidth problem. When something is scarce, it captures the mind. Money becomes not just a number, but a background process always running. With a cushion, parts of the day can belong to something else. Work, family, health, learning, sleep. A bill auto-pays, a card clears. A warning light becomes an errand, not a crisis. You are not morally superior in that moment. You are less interrupted. Without a cushion, the mind keeps scanning for cracks. Did that clear? Will they charge me? Is the gas enough? Can this wait? What if it breaks? What if I say no? What if they ask why? You are in a conversation, but part of you is calculating. You are at work, but part of you is tracking the balance. You are trying to rest, but part of you is remembering the bill you have not opened. This does not mean broke people are bad at thinking. It means they are forced to think about too much at once. Attention is one of the first things money buys. Before it buys status, before it buys luxury, it buys the ability to stop monitoring every surface for cracks. Over time, that constant scanning can start to look like bad judgment from the outside. Someone delays a bill and pays more later. Someone buys the cheaper item and replaces it twice. Someone misses an appointment because the bus route failed. Someone takes a worse job because it is reachable. Someone stays in a bad apartment because moving requires deposits they do not have. From far away, these look like isolated bad choices. Up close, they are often the price of having no room. This does not mean every decision is forced. People still make mistakes. Everyone does. The difference is that people with cushions are allowed to make mistakes quietly. Their mistakes land on padding. A bad purchase becomes a lesson. A forgotten bill becomes an inconvenience. A broken object becomes a weekend errand. Without padding, the same mistake lands on concrete. And people call the sound character. That is the hidden cruelty of the friction price. It charges you twice. First in money, then in interpretation. You pay the fee and then you pay for the story people attach to the fee. Irresponsible. Difficult. Poor planner. Always behind. Too emotional, not serious. But sometimes the more accurate story is simpler. There was no margin. No margin in the account, no margin in the schedule, no margin in the car, no margin in the body, no margin in the week. When there is no margin, life becomes a machine that turns small problems into identity tests. That is why telling someone to just make better choices can miss the point. Better choices often require the very thing they do not have: room. Room to wait for a sale, room to buy the durable version, room to leave a bad job, room to move closer, room to say no, room to spend 2 hours comparing options without losing the 2 hours needed to solve another emergency. Choice is real, but choice is not free. It is built out of time, cash, information, energy, transportation, safety, and the belief that tomorrow will not punish you for what you do today. When those ingredients are missing, the menu of choices gets smaller, even if nobody officially takes the menu away. This is why the first small buffer can feel larger than it looks. A few $100s may not make someone rich. It may not change their apartment, job title, or clothes, but it can change the texture of a week. A bill can hit without becoming a crisis. A tire can be repaired before the job is at risk. A grocery trip can include the larger size. A phone can be replaced before it becomes an emergency. A person can breathe long enough to choose instead of react. The first sign of stability is not luxury. It is the disappearance of panic from ordinary moments. That is what money quietly does when nobody is watching. It lowers the volume of life. It turns alarms back into tasks. It lets small problems remain small. For people who have always had some cushion, this can be almost invisible. They may think they are simply calmer, more organized, more disciplined. Maybe they are, but some of that calm is purchased by the fact that the world charges them fewer penalties for being human. Forget one thing and nothing collapses. Get delayed and the day survives. Buy the better version and it stops breaking. Pay up front and the unit price falls. Wait 2 days and the better option is still available. That is not just discipline, that is margin. So when we ask why being broke makes everything more expensive, the answer is not one fee, one bad company, one foolish purchase, or one personal weakness. It is a stack of small frictions that appear wherever a person has no buffer. The late fee, the hold time, the bus transfer, the cheap replacement, the higher deposit, the smaller package, the missed appointment, the worse option, the mental noise. Each one seems small enough to dismiss. Together, they become a second economy underneath the visible one. On the surface, everyone sees the same price tag. Underneath, some people are charged for every inch of uncertainty. And that brings us back to the register. The item still costs $11.40. In one life, the card clears. You take the bag, catch the bus, and forget the moment by dinner. In the other life, the app still says pending. You step aside, miss the bus, make the call, change dinner, carry the embarrassment home, and pay for being 1 day early to the store but 1 day late to your own money. Same product, same city, same price tag, different life. Because people with a cushion do not just have more money. They have more silence around their mistakes. They have more time before a problem becomes public. They have more ways to choose the cheaper long-term option. They have more permission to be imperfect without being punished immediately. Being broke makes everything more expensive because the world does not only sell products. It sells time. It sells patience. It sells access. It sells forgiveness. And when you cannot buy those things in advance, you often pay for them later at the worst possible price. So the next time someone says, "It is expensive to be poor," do not picture one dramatic tragedy. Picture a small screen at a checkout counter. Picture 11:40. Picture a transfer clearing tomorrow. Picture the banking app still saying pending. Picture one missed bus. Picture a person who did the math, made the plan, and still got charged extra because the money arrived 1 day too late. That is the friction price. And for many ordinary people, it is not a theory, it is Tuesday. If you have ever paid a fee that only existed because you were 1 day, 1 hour, or 1 paycheck short, you already know what this is. The price tag was never the full price. It was only the part a person with margin could afford to notice.